Welcome everyone to the Joel Martin Mastery Podcast. I'm a networking expert and the author of the upcoming book, No Strangers, How to Build Community, One Relationship at a Time. My why is the pursuit of mastery, and the goal of this podcast is to lock arms on a lifelong mission of daily personal growth to become the best version of ourselves. So let's dive in to today's episode. Welcome everyone to today's episode of the podcast. This is going to be a shorter episode. I'm going to do a mini book review of the Almanac of Naval Ravikant by Eric Jorgenson. Now, if you're not familiar with Naval Ravikant, he's a super investor. This is a really intelligent guy. He started a bunch of companies. He was an early investor in over 200 companies, including Twitter and Uber. So he's made just a ton of money. And you know what? He's one of the world's top thinkers. Every time I see him on a podcast, every time I read an article or see a video, I absolutely love the way this guy thinks. So this is how this book was put together. So a few years ago, he had a tweet storm. And a tweet storm, for those that aren't familiar, is where someone just does like a dump of a ton of tweets at one time. So he did all these tweets, and the whole series was called How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky. Now, what they did is they took all those tweets that went viral and they put them all together, and he started a podcast. So he has a podcast just called Naval, just his first name. And if you go back to the June 2nd episode, 2019, there's a 3.5-hour episode that is just them going through all of the tweets from the tweet storm and diving into it. And that 3.5 hours I've listened to many times, and it's one of the greatest things I've ever listened to. So go check that out. And then what they did was this Eric Jorgenson went and compiled the whole tweet storm in written form, went and got essays and podcasts and all these different things from the last decade from Naval and put it together as a book. And that's this book, the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. So what they did is they made this book available for free. So if you go to the website, Naval, it's Almanac and then Nav in front. So it's Navalmanac, NAVALMANACK.com. If you go there, I'll put the link in this episode so you can just click it. You can get the book for free. So they didn't put it together to make money. They did it just to get the information out. And I think it's worth your time. So I read this book in just 2 days. In my review, I said it might just be the greatest collection of practical life advice ever assembled in a single book. So what I've done here is I've assembled probably my top 15 takeaways from the book. So I'm going to read through them right now, and then maybe I'll touch on a few of the points. So here are my top takeaways. Building specific knowledge will feel like play to you, but will look like work to others. Become the best in the world at what you do. Keep redefining what you do until this is true. When you're finally wealthy, you'll realize it wasn't what you were seeking in the first place, but that is for another day. If you don't own a piece of a business, you don't have a path towards financial freedom. Read what you love until you love to read. Don't take yourself so seriously. You're just a monkey with a plan. Happiness is what's there when you remove the sense that something is missing in your life. Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. You can get almost anything you want out of life as long as it's one thing and you want it far more than anyone else. To make an original contribution, you have to be irrationally obsessed with something. Impatience with actions, patience with the results. So have impatience with actions and have patience with the results. A taste of freedom can make you unemployable. Everything is more beautiful because we're doomed. You will never be lovelier than you are now, and we will never be here again. Inspiration is perishable. Act on it immediately. Health, love, and your mission, in that order. Nothing else matters. So hopefully a few of those points got you right in the feels. It hit you pretty hard. It has your attention, and that'll make it worth going to that website and just downloading that book for free. Or I believe you can order it on Amazon and the proceeds go to a charity. You can pick it up for free at a library. So are there any points I want to touch on here? So the second point, become the best in the world at what you do. Keep redefining what you do until this is true. So the way I look at that is, let's say you want to be the best guitarist in the world. That's pretty hard. There are lots of guitarists. Some of them are incredible. They're world class. So what that would mean is you're working at your guitar, and obviously people are better than you. And then you specify and you get more into blues. Now there's less blues players. And then you get into using a wah pedal, and there's only so many players that use a wah-wah pedal. And then you use this trick and that trick, and you redefine your sound, and then you use loop pedals. And eventually you've defined so specifically what you do that you're the best in the world, because no one does that exact thing. So that's how I take that away from it. The point, read what you love until you love to read. His example was, if you don't love to read, you should start with like comic books or something where it's mostly visual, and then you love comic books. And then there are some comic books that have more writing than pictures, and then you get into something specific, some kind of science, and you read a science book. So it's find something that you love to read, no matter how simple it is, if it's kids books, and then eventually you'll end up just loving to read in general. And I've heard many times that reading is a superpower. Being able to take in what some of the smartest people of all time, it took them a lifetime of knowledge, and they've put it all in a book that you can consume for $20 or for free from a library within a few hours, and get everything that they figured out in 60, 80, 100 years. I believe that reading is a superpower. So you want to get into that for sure. What else here do I want to touch on? You can get almost anything you want out of life as long as it's one thing and you want it far more than anyone else. So I touched on that on the last episode of the podcast, that you should try to focus on just one thing and give it everything you've got and see what happens. So you don't know what your life could look like if you focus on just your health for a month, nothing but your health, or you focused on I don't know, just working on your business for a month. We really don't know what we're capable of. So try that. Try to have that monomaniacal focus on one thing and see where it takes you. Anything else here? The impatience with actions, patience with the results. So that means, you need to take action right away, but the results won't always come when you want them to. So if you put in the work, the results will come, but you have to be patient. So you can't always have a say or predict the results, but you do have control over the actions. So do the actions, which you do have control over, and the results will come. A taste of freedom can make you unemployable. So my mentor is super successful, super wealthy, and his Facebook, where it says employment, it just says unemployable. And he always says that once you have success, once you have freedom, you can't go back to having a job, because you just can no longer accept taking orders from someone else, having a boss telling a grown adult what to do. You no longer are willing to trade your time for money, or trade your freedom for money. You find ways to make money while you sleep. What else? This one, inspiration is perishable. Act on it immediately. So when I study all the greats, they don't wait for inspiration to hit because it's few and far between. You're lucky if you have inspiration. And what he's saying is if you do actually have a moment of inspiration, then jump on it because it might be gone tomorrow and you still have to put in the work and still produce. So all the successful people, they actually just put in the work. So writers, they don't wait till they're inspired. Every day they get up and they write from 8 a.m. until noon. And whether they write one word, one sentence, one page, or nothing, they put in the work and they show up where then inspiration can show up or ideas can show up. They're there ready, pen in hand, hand on paper. And you can't wait until the inspiration hits because it's not about that. It's about showing up for your craft. Health, love, and your mission in that order. Nothing else matters. It sounds pretty important to me. So as we wrap up, I want to know what you guys are reading. Is there anything that I should check out? Reach out to me by my email, joelmartinmastery@gmail.com. In the outro of this podcast episode, I'm going to share all my social media links so you can reach out to me there. And last year I read, I believe 72 books. So I'm going to do a review of what those books are. And I'll share, say, my top 10 or top 15 favorites out of those. And that will be a list that's worth your time if you want to dive into. So I'm now, I believe, 3 books that I've read in 2022, and today is January 16th. So the goal again is over 70 books, between 70 and 75. So let me know what I should be reading. What are the good books? What are the all-time greats? What are your favorites? Reach out to me. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We have an exciting episode dropping tomorrow, a 2+ hour interview, a deep dive with the Mudmen, the Celtic warrior heroes, the bagpipe duo. And that's an exciting one. So tune in tomorrow. That'll drop. Thanks for tuning into this episode. And we'll see you soon. Bye. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and I'd love to hear from you guys. My goal is to grow this podcast organically, where you're giving me feedback on topics you'd like me to cover and guests you'd like me to interview. You can reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Joel Martin Mastery. Joel is Joel, and on Twitter at Joel Mastery. So I am done. I am complete. I approve this message, and I'll see you on the next episode.